Okay. What? The House Chairperson.
There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Please be seated. The Secretary will read the order.
Debate on vote number 14, Statistics South Africa Appropriation Bill.
I now call upon the Honourable Minister in the Presidency who will start the debate. Honourable Minister.
Honourable House Chairperson, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, Honourable Teliswa Mgweba, Deputy Ministers in the Presidency, Honourable Nonqeba Mhlauli and Honourable Kenny Morolong, members of the Portfolio Committee on Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, the Statistician General, and members of the South African Statistics Council, fellow South Africans. It is my honor to present the Budget Vote 14, Statistics South Africa for financial year 2025-2026 and the medium-term expenditure framework period. As we start with the work of the 7th administration in earnest. Honorable Chairperson, after the Minister of Finance has tabled the annual budget in compliance with the provisions of the Public Finance Management Act, Section 27 and subsection 4 provides that when the annual budget is introduced to the National Assembly, the accounting officer of each department must submit to Parliament measurable objectives for each main division within the department's vote. The Statistician General have complied with the provision of subsection 4, and the Portfolio Committee of Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation have considered the strategic plan and annual work plan of the Stats SA. And therefore, it is my honor to table the Budget Vote 14, Statistics South Africa. The MTF allocation is 2.77 billion in 2025-2026 and 2.91 billion in 2026-2027 and 3.04 billion in 2027-2028 financial years, which is an average growth of a rate of 4.7%. The main divisions in Vote 14 are Administration, 742 million, Economic Statistics, 310.5 million, Population and Social Statistics, 307.7 million, Methodology and Statistical Infrastructure, 166.1 million, Statistical Support and Informatics, 306.7, Statistical Operations and Provincial Coordination, 889.2, South African National Statistics System, 48.4 million. We request Parliament to support the Budget Vote 14 of Statistics South Africa. Honourable members, it is important to support this budget vote because we are navigating a path in a world that is undergoing rapid and profound changes. And this is equally true in the realm of statistics. Global fundamental shifts are reshaping every aspect of human life, from the escalating impact of climate change to the swift advancements in artificial intelligence, the rise of digital economies, changing social dynamics, and global political tensions. In a world defined by rapid change, complex challenges, and competing narratives, official statistics provide us with one constant: the truth told in numbers. They serve as a mirror through which a nation sees itself not just as it is, but how it is evolving. From economic performance and health outcomes to education levels and environmental conditions, statistics are the evidence base upon which sound decisions are made. By accurately capturing and analyzing these trends, we can better equip ourselves to respond to the challenges and opportunities they present, ensuring that our nation remains resilient and forward-thinking in this ever-evolving landscape. Therefore, Statistics SA must be able to measure these changes in a dynamic but yet verifiable manner. In this rapidly evolving digital and data-driven world, Stats SA remains unwavering in its commitment to the strategy of improving lives through data economic systems. As the landscape of information technology and data analytics continues to transform, our focus is on harnessing the power of data to enhance the well-being of our citizens. Stats SA has commenced with the development of a digital business transformation strategy to guide the achievement and ambitious business goals enabled by technology. This strategy aligns with the South Africa's roadmap for digital transformation of government that aims, amongst others, to enhance data exchange for improved access to information for improved service delivery. Stats SA's digital transformation journey commenced with the household survey program, transitioning from a paper-based data collection approach to a computer-assisted methodology, thereby streamlining survey operations, resulting in significant cost savings. Stats SA conducted its first ever digital census in 2022, encompassing 3 modes of data collection, namely computer-assisted personal interviews, computer-assisted telephonic interviews, and the computer-assisted web interviews. While the KATI and the KWI saw slow adoption, KAPI significantly reduced data collection costs. This groundbreaking effort was fully supported by technology, with all systems and applications developed internally. Stats SA plans to reinvent its statistical products and processes over the next 5 years. The shift to digital platforms is designed to streamline survey operations, making it more efficient and user-friendly. Key initiatives over the medium term include researching the use of artificial intelligence or AI, in producing official statistics, introducing web-based data collection methods in our economic statistics program, applying data science and modern methods to big data and alternative data source, and exploring the use of cloud technology in Stats SA. Central to Stats SA 5-year strategy is the goal to lead and shape the data ecosystem, which requires establishing essential building blocks to enhance data acquisition, data governance, data platforms, data protection, and data access utilization. The data ecosystem will drive interoperability and interconnectedness of various data systems to extract value and insights for better decision-making. The new ICT investments are needed to establish a reliable technical architecture that is trusted, provides secure platforms and solutions that will enable data sharing, integration, and security. Allow me to highlight some of the performance and progress we have made since the last budget speech. A key strategic milestone was the passing of the amendments to the Stats Act number 6 of 1996 by the 6th Parliament, and the President accenting to the Amendment Act in December, now known as the Stats Amendment Act 29 of 2024. As our responsibility is to ensure that these amendments designed to enhance statistical coordination across this country are effectively implemented over the next 5 years, while finalizing the relevant proclamation for the President to bring the Act into effect. In October 2023, Stats SA delivered the results to the nation's first digital survey, as I've indicated. I am pleased to inform the House that Stats SA has published the long-awaited results of the Income and Expenditure Survey in January 2024. This survey provides crucial information on poverty levels in the country and informs the new basket of goods and services for the Consumer Price Index. Additionally, Stats SA has released the newly revised basket of goods and services for the CPI to the nation. As a country still faced with the triple challenge of poverty, inequality, and unemployment, as policymakers, we need to know and understand the scale and the characteristics and the root causes of the challenges that we face. I'm also pleased to announce that as part of the Economic Statistics Suite, Stats SA has published for the first time the official residential property price index for South Africa during the 2024-25 financial year. Our 5-year strategic plan and work program of Statistics South Africa, submitted in line with the PFA, are anchored in the medium-term development plan, setting out a clear, ambitious program for the next 5 years, advancing 3 strategic priorities. Firstly, to drive inclusive growth and job creation. Secondly, to reduce poverty and tackle the high cost of living. And thirdly, to build a capable, ethical, and developmental state. As the President, through the State of the Nation address, directed that our most urgent task is to grow our economy so that we can create jobs, reduce poverty, and improve the lives of all South Africans. The role of statistics in that attainment of this apex priority is to be able to be the guiding light of where we are now, how far we've come, and tracking our progress as we implement our policies and programs. Our strategic plan is anchored on 4 strategic outcomes aimed at elevating statistical development in our country. These outcomes are designed to ensure that we continue to advance and innovate our statistical nations practices, providing high-quality data, insights, and support informed decision-making and policy development. These outcomes include insightful data, creating an agile operating model, building an interconnected statistical system, and lastly, transforming the capability of the organization. As already indicated, understanding and effectively managing the data ecosystem is crucial for the country. Stats SA must continue to lead in the South African data economy system. By doing so, we can ensure that the data gap is closed, providing comprehensive and accurate information that supports evidence-based decision-making. This leadership role involves not only maintaining high standards of data quality and integrity, but also fostering a culture of collaboration and innovation. Through strategic partnerships with other government departments, private sector entities, and academic institutions, we can create a robust network that supports the continuous flow and utilization of data. It is for this reason that the Statistician General, representatives of the National Treasury, and myself will be meeting with the outgoing CEO of Capitec and his team. We will similarly meet with representatives of the short-term insurance company to discuss how we support creating an informal business register. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The next speaker is the Honorable Ngweba.
Thank you very much, House Chair. Honorable Minister Kumbuzo Chaveni, Deputy Ministers, Honorable Nongceba Mhlauli, Honorable Kenny Murulungu, the Statistician General, Dr. Risenga, the Statistician Council, Chairperson Dr. Nzimande. Honorable House Chair, on behalf of the Portfolio Committee on Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, I rise to table the committee's report on the strategic plan, the annual performance plan for 2025-2026, and the budget allocation for Vote 14 Stats SA. Honorable members, the 2025 State of the Nation Address reiterated our country's most pressing imperative to grow the economy, create jobs, and to improve the lives of all South Africans. Achieving this vision, as set out in the National Development Plan 2030, the Medium-Term Development Plan 2025-2030 requires a capable state that is underpinned by credible, disaggregated, and timely data. This does not only require Stats SA to have the capacity to produce credible statistical outputs, but the whole statistics ecosystem to also produce stats, as they also have an impact on South Africans. Honorable House Chair and honorable members, Stats SA plays a central role in producing official statistics that inform evidence-based decision-making, which enables government to monitor service delivery and enable accountability across all spheres of government. Statistical data is a critical element for all organizations, whether for objectives that are economic, political, or social. In this context, honorable members, the committee welcomed the strategic focus of the entity, which includes the following priorities over the medium term: sustaining the quality of national indicators, driving statistical reform and coordination through the national statistics system, modernizing the department's business operating model, including digital transformation, and implementing the redesigned continuous population survey to improve frequency and depth of household level data. The department has been allocated 2.77 billion for the 2025-2026 financial year, representing a moderate increase from the previous year. 65.7% of the budget vote allocation is for compensation of employees, reflecting the department's technical nature. The committee notes that while this allocation allows Stats SA to fund its average staff complement of 2,504 posts, the department continues to face significant vacancy pressures due to physical constraints. Honorable members, the committee have raised several key concerns and its deliberations. Firstly, the high vacancy rate, the loss of skilled personnel to various domestic and international organizations, urge the department to have a timely process of filling executive management and specialist vacancies. Secondly, the committee is concerned about the department's inability to meet equity targets, particularly regarding the representation of persons with disabilities and women in senior level roles. This is not only a compliance issue, but also a transformative imperative aligned with the NDP's goals. Thirdly, the committee noted the department's shortfall of approximately 300 million, which hinders its ability to fully implement its strategic priorities, particularly digital transformation and the modernization of statistical infrastructure. Digital innovation has an impact on the cost of the production of statistical data, which can enable the entity to produce more outputs. Fourthly, while the department is investing in innovation, including digital tools and alternative data sources, the committee found a lack of clarity on how the impact of these innovations will be measured and how they will contribute to improved statistical output. In light of these issues, honorable members, the committee recommends that the minister ensure that Stats SA must institutionalize the census within a 10-year cycle to ensure continuity, comparability in population data, which is critical for NDP and MTDP monitoring. The census has critical implications for government planning and physical allocations. We are in a period with high levels of internal migration. This requires a mechanism to assess population trends within 10-year period. And the department must accelerate the development and rollout of digital platforms and tools to enhance the collection, processing, and dissemination of data, including forming partnership with other state agencies and private sector. This must strengthen the development of statistical units in state organs. In order to enhance the capability and capacity of Stats SA, we believe the National Treasury should allocate more funds for the vote in the medium term for its human capital strategy and digital transformation agenda to enable the entity to increase its impact, which will be positive for the overall economy and society. A precise results-based monitoring and evaluation framework must be adopted to track implementation and impact on statistical innovation, particularly within the continuous population survey and modernization initiatives. Honorable members, the work of the Stats SA goes beyond data. It speaks to the credibility of our democracy and the integrity of our national planning architecture. The information produced by this institution is critical for the monitoring progress on poverty reduction, inequality, employment, gender equity, and the realization of sustainable developmental goals and Africa Agenda 2063. Without data, we cannot track implementation. With reliable statistics, there is no accountability. And without investment in Stats SA, we risk undermining the very foundation of evidence-based policy and oversight. It is for these reasons, honorable members, that the committee support the adoption of Budget Vote 14 allocation. I thank you, House Chair.
Thank you, honorable member. The next speaker is the Honorable Gama.
Thank you, House Chair. The MK party rises to reject Vote 14 on the basis that Stats SA continues to be underfunded and is being sabotaged by a government not to deliver on its mandate. The South African government's failure to adequately support Stats SA reflects a missed opportunity to use data as a transformative tool for national development. A government statistical office should be the engine that pivots all of government's planning and all the programs that are key to GDP growth, employment creation, reduction of poverty, and reduction of inequality, which can be shown using this data. The budget of the statistical office reflects the ambition of government. A government that wants to succeed uses data to drive its programs. The knowledge generated and managed through Stats SA is crucial for government performance across all sectors, including public services, service delivery, economic growth, as well as comparisons of income among different population groups in our country. Even though Stats SA releases statistics on employment, which includes quarterly data on the informal sector, some in the majority party do not know this. They believe that they must listen to a bank CEO who equally does not read the reports. When they meet to discuss existing knowledge, we wonder which blind lamb will lead which one first. A serious government would make real-time decisions based on data generated by the Statistical Office, choosing programs that have the most impact on the people. The current government promises of inclusive growth, addressing poverty and income inequality are hollow promises. The GNU will continue to fail because instead of using the information that is already at its disposal to drive service delivery and create employment, it wants to go on a 700 million rand junket to discover what is already in front of it. This it wishes to call the national dialogue. There's no need to go on such an expensive junket. All that is required is to request the Statistician General to provide information on the quantitative state of our country. After that, the government, if it has any sense of how to use this information, should then respond with solutions that will impact our people. For 3 decades, the government has focused on appeasing a few privileged white businesses to drive the stumbling economic agenda of the country. The already extraordinarily rich are empowered at the expense of the have-nots. The government has failed to leverage data as an infrastructure to enhance democracy by failing to ensure that economic programs touch the lives of all South Africans and not only the privileged few. The continued deprivation of Statistics South Africa of the correct budget undermines the statistical system of the ability to provide the country's diverse data needs. Statistics South Africa needs to use big data, artificial intelligence, and machine learning to carve out trends that can provide the entire country with relevant capabilities to drive a thriving system. In today's data-driven world, modernization is not optional, it is an imperative. The failure to adopt advanced technologies such as big data analytics leaves South Africa lagging behind its international counterparts. This technology could provide critical insight and predictive capabilities, yet the lack of investment stifles innovation and efficiency. The government continues its failure to retain top statistical talent because of a lack of foresight in creating remuneration strategies and packages that are competitive in this market. Stats SA is vulnerable to losing skilled professionals to international organizations and commercial banks which offer more attractive compensation. The government's failure to develop and implement effective remuneration strategies undermines the agency's ability to produce high-quality data and analytics. The proposed 4.7% annual budget increase for Stats SA falls short of what is needed to modernize its operations and infrastructure. This budget does not allow for the necessary technological upgrades or expansion of services. In contrast, a 10% increase per annum over the next 3 years would enable Stats South Africa to align with global standards, to improve data connection and analysis, and enhance contribution to national development. The underfunding of Stats SA is symptomatic of a lack of vision in the government's approach to statistical development. Without a coherent strategy to optimize and diversify statistical operations, Stats SA cannot effectively coordinate the national statistics system or drive the reform needed for comprehensive data governance. A robust statistical infrastructure is the backbone of credible economic policies. The government investment in Stats SA undermines its ability to provide reliable data affecting policy decisions relating to economic growth, standards of living improvements, and inclusive development. Without empirical evidence, government promises of reducing poverty and inequality will always remain hollow and a pipe dream. All that is required is that the knowledge that has been produced must be utilized to make timely policy decisions by the government. There's an absence, however, of understanding what policy prescripts must be developed. The MK Party rejects this inadequate budget as it will not equip Stats SA to fulfill its mandate and will ultimately not improve the lives of South Africans. Kwaza Mkondo, Kwaza.
Next speaker is the Honorable Christie.
House Chair, Statistician General Risenga Maluleke has sounded the alarm several times to MPs. The short funding of Statistics South Africa is reaching critical proportions. Indeed, our committee visited his office in Gauteng in March and saw how much is being achieved with a skeleton staff and shoestring budget. Quality statistics generated by Stats SA are vital for business, government, and society at large to enable us to make informed, evidence-based decisions as we plan and then monitor and evaluate whether our policies are working. Yet due to budget cuts over the years, Stats SA is short-staffed by 720 people. It takes 10 years to develop a young statistician to the level of experience and knowledge required by Stats SA, yet the organization is losing up to 131 members per annum to financial institutions and international organizations offering better working conditions. An additional issue is the outdated ICT infrastructure that puts Stats SA at risk. On this budget, upgrades are not affordable, and the Audit Committee is raising serious concerns that if hit by a cyber attack, Stats SA may not be adequately protected. With both the quality and periodicity of Stats SA surveys at risk, and many surveys having to be delayed or dropped altogether, our question as a parliamentary committee to Mr. Maluleke was, how much do you need to survive? And the answer was that an additional 250 million rand per year would stabilize the institution with competitive salaries to retain experienced staff and funding to improve their ICT system. The public know, just as well as we do, that it's not as simple as just approaching the finance minister. Hi, Enoch, I've got my hat in hand. Please can I have some more money? An ailing economy throttled by onerous policies and restrictions on businesses has not generated the revenue that SARS needs to fund all government departments and entities. Just as the public was saying, don't tax us more by increasing VAT. So the Treasury is having to say to Stats SA, make do with what you have. Mr. Risenga and his team have closed down a number of field offices and cut expenses as far as possible. Their innovative culture has had them brainstorming on income-generating projects to insulate them from national budget constraints, and the idea of advertising on their website has even come up. That was my idea. The reality we face is this: our government has got to create the right environment for the economy to grow, for jobs to be created, and ultimately tax revenue generated for Treasury to divide between the government departments all clamoring for attention. Serious reconsideration needs to be given to whether restrictive policies such as BBBEE are hindering international investment and discouraging local business owners from growing their companies. In fact, I know they are, because I personally know business owners who could grow their companies to beyond 50 staff members, but they don't want to because of the restrictions that will then be imposed on them by BEE. So BEE is the root cause of our unemployment crisis. Talk to business owners. You're a politician, talk to business owners. We need to free up our SMMEs from bad regulations to motivate them to expand and employ more. This is the root of the problem. Until we get out of denial and face the fact that our policies are not working, Stats SA and other valuable entities are at risk of decline. For various reasons, some beyond their control, Stats SA's census in 2022 was entirely inadequate, with only 69% minister of the population being counted. Only 36 million of our 61 million people were counted, and the international standard is 95%. As Stats SA plans their next national census for 2031, we absolutely must ensure that the Organisation Minister is fully funded in order to avoid another failed census. Our Treasury and the Department of PME need accurate statistics in order to make informed decisions, including how tax revenue is divided equally among geographical areas. The Minister in the Presidency failed in her duty to ensure adequate funding for Census 2022, resulting in an almost useless census. The vital statistics of income, labour, births and deaths from the census were too compromised even to be released to the public. How are we supposed to plan when we don't know the numbers? The Minister has also not guaranteed sufficient funding for Stats SA to perform as a functional outfit according to international standards. The budget this year is 2.7 billion rand, but for a working and thriving Stats SA, the Minister must take responsibility for the full funding of the institution to allow it to retain skilled staff, update its ICT systems, and ultimately better inform our nation. As the DA, we also iterate that ministers accused of corruption, Cameron, and in this case under alleged investigation by the NPA, step down or be dismissed by the President. Where there is smoke, there is fire. And if a minister is unable to run a municipality with integrity, surely she has disqualified herself from running the President's
Honourable
office
Member,
and overseeing.
your
Stats
time
SA.
has expired. Thank you. The next speaker is the Honourable Matowane. Order, honourable members. Order.
Sibulise sihlalo sivumele ukuba sibulise kunyana womgquba umongameli we-July 26 movement olandela kwikhondo lamaqhawe afana noFidel Castro, Thomas Sankara kunye noPatrice Lumumba. Sithi kuwe Commander in Chief, qhubeka usikhokhele ngobulumko nokuthobeka. Ndivumele ke sihlalo ndithi ingqanga nentsiba zayo. Sihlalo wendlu sivumele kwakhona ukuba sivuyisane kwaye sinqome ingqali yobalo jikelele we-State South Africa kunye neqela lakhe ngokuthi bakhusele isidima sika-Stats SA xa behlaselwa umphathi webhanki engumavukengqini ebolekisa ngemali dlaka-dlaka. According to this CEO, Stats SA unemployment figures of more than 12 million people, representing a 43.1% unemployment rate is questionable. And the actual unemployment rate is supposedly closer to 10%. This is said by someone who has never been inside Statistics SA, has never attended even a symposium of the International Labour International Organization, yet wants to discredit competent professionals whose daily work is to collect data, analyze it, and make it accessible. It is shocking that a cabinet member, the Minister of Trade and Industry, was quick to support this gullible nonsense without even asking the most basic of questions. Simple questions like, when and where did you collect the data to conclude that Stats SA is not counting the informal sector? Sithi ke sihlalo kulo matshonisa makaqhubeke noshishino lwakhe olugwenxa, ayeke inkquba buchopho i-Statistician General iqhube nomsebenzi wayo oncomekayo onegalelo elikhulu ekuphuculeni ubomi beempula zikaLjaca. House Chairperson, allow us to deal with the proposed budget before us. The EFF rejects the proposed allocation of 2.7 billion to Statistics South Africa. When we say we reject the proposed allocation, we don't mean that Stats SA must not be given the budget to perform its mandate. It is lazy to think like that, and it undermines the intelligence of our people to suggest that when we reject this budget, we do so because we don't want Stats SA to do its work. We reject this budget because we know it is not enough. For many years, Stats SA budget has been eroded by below inflation allocations and budget cuts. The institution has lost seasoned professionals, many of whom could not continue to work in an institution that was deliberately being collapsed for selfish political reasons. We have heard Stats SA complain about high vacancy rates over the years, and this parliament has done nothing, has not done anything about it. We have listened to both the previous and current Statistician General complain about how the institution needs more funding. And now we are told that Stats SA needs additional funding to the tune of 300 million, but this parliament has done nothing. House Chairperson, if anything, the observations and recommendations contained in the report before the House are nothing but a copy and paste from previous reports, offering no practical or much needed interventions. This is yet another year where we fail to intervene, and it is for this reason that we refuse to support the proposed budget. Sasiqukumbela masithi urhulumente akazimiselanga ukuxhasa umsebenzi odidi oluphezulu owenziwa nguStats SA. Loo nto ithi ichaphazele umsebenzi karhulumente wokusa inkonzo ebantwini. Ngaphandle kweenkcukacha manani, urhulumente akakwazi ukwenza izicwangciso ezingqingqwa. Kaloku iinkcukacha manani zibalulekile ekuqondeni imo yesizwe kunye nemicelimngeni ethi isizwe sijongene nayo, equlathwe kwiingxelo ezenziwa leli candelo. Sidinga iinkcukacha manani ezithembekileyo ukuze sikwazi ukubheka phambili sisizwe. Kodwa ke olu rhulumente olwe-GNU alubonakalisi mdla kwiinkcukacha manani njengesiseko sokwakha ikamva labemi beli lizwe. Isizwe sizimele ngenqayi elangeni kuba urhulumente eyona nto athe phithi yiyo kuhamba nje bamba iimbizo. Ngaphandle kweenkcukacha manani asizazi apho sisuka khona, apho sime khoyo nalapho sijongo khona. Ngezi zizathu ke singumbutho we-Economic Freedom Fighters asiluxhasi olwabiwo-mali lukaStats SA. Enkosi.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Nkosi Cebekulu. Order, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Honourable House Chairperson. The Untitled Freedom Party recognizes the vital role that Stats SA plays in building a capable and developmental state. Accurate, credible, and timely statistics are the bedrock of evidence-based planning, monitoring, and evaluation, particularly in a complex and unequal socio-economic as ours. We acknowledge and support the department's continued commitment to modernize its operations through the implementation of digital technologies and the strengthening of the South African statistics system. The 2.77 billion rands allocated to Stats SA for year 2025-26 is a critical investment in data integrity and public accountability. However, we are deeply concerned by persistent structural changes within the department that threaten the effective realization of its mandate. A critical vacancy rate, including in executive management, is driven largely by financial constraints. Skilled professionals are leaving the department and several senior positions remain occupied in an active capacity in contravention of the public service regulations. Underfunding remains a challenge, as Stats SA has indicated that it requires an additional 300 million rand to function optimally. Without these resources, the institution risks underperformance, especially in delivering priority programs. We commend the department's innovation in developing multi-mode surveys in introducing artificial intelligence. This is in line with global best practices, and South Africa must not be left behind in this regard. We also support Stats SA's focus on separate data for marginalized groups, including women, youth, and persons with disabilities, as reflected in the General Household Survey and SDG reporting outputs. In conclusion, the IFP supports the budget vote, but calls for a serious and transparent review of resource acceptability, skills retention, and implementation efficiency. Stats SA must be empowered to meet its constitutional and developmental obligations. Our democracy, our planning, our people depend on it. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker is the Honorable Peterson.
Thank you, House Chairperson. Greetings, honorable members. The Patriotic Chairperson. The Patriotic Alliance acknowledges the critical role of States SA in providing reliable and timely statistical data to inform evidence-based policymaking, economic planning, and service delivery. We commend the entity for its efforts in strengthening data integrity, expanding census, survey coverage, and enhancing digital data collection methodologies. This report reflects the committee's engagement with States SA, assessing its strategic priorities, performance targets, and budgetary allocations to ensure alignment with the national development objectives, and including the NDP Vision 2030 and the medium-term strategic framework. However, the committee has identified key areas requiring attention, including resource allocation and budget constraints impacting the implementation of key statistical programs, capacity challenges in meeting expanded data demands, particularly in monitoring sustainable development goals, public trust and data dissemination strategies to ensure accessibility and usability of statistics. We as the Patriotic Alliance recommend States SA, in collaboration with the National Treasury, addresses these challenges to ensure effective service delivery. Furthermore, we call for strengthened oversight to ensure that allocated funds are utilized efficiently and that performance targets are met. We support. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker is the Honorable Letlape. May I request members to make use of the waiting benches on both sides so that we can proceed with the debate?
Thank you, Chair. I was still waiting trial on my desk there. Apologies, Chair. Stats SA is an essential organ in the survival of this organism that we call South Africa. It has to operate at maximum efficiency. Everybody talks about data, data, data. Even children will prefer data on their devices more than anything else. We are now allowing an important institution to go without data. I would like to ask the honorable members, what would make sense? 700 million rands for a national dialogue, or 300 million rands for Stats SA today. If we made the investment of 300 million rands for Stats SA today, we would have far better information than will ever come from a dialogue. If today, we as members of parliament, we as South Africa, don't know what our problems are, and we need to have a dialogue at that cost to deal with the issues that we need to deal with. Our suggestion from Action SA, let's give the money to Stats South Africa so that Stats South Africa can do what it needs to do. When you have to plan for health services without proper population data, you can't do that. When you have to plan for education without proper data, you can't do that. So as Action SA, it is with a painful heart that we will not support this budget. Because one of the worst things that anybody can do to you is to underfund you. They are setting you up for failure. It is not that this country doesn't have money to fund Stats SA. It's just the choices that we make. So we urge this House to do the right thing in providing proper sustenance to Stats SA as an essential organ. You know, what we're doing, it's like throttling the blood to your heart. You wouldn't be a useful human being. You wouldn't be able to go up a flight of stairs. You'll huff and puff everywhere. If any of us have any human decency, we should listen to what the statistician general tells us. The institution is badly, badly underfunded. It's like needing a blood transfusion. If you don't get it, you're not getting out of ICU. Let's take it out of ICU. This notion of passing budgets that cripple organizations is a harmful practice. And we should rise and do the right thing. Because if we have money to fund a national talk shop, we can choose to fund Stats SA. We do not support this malnourished budget for an important organ of state. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Deputy Minister in the Presidency.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson. The Honourable Minister in the Presidency, Ms. Khumbudzo Ntshavheni, the Honourable Deputy Minister, Mr. Kenny Morolong, Honourable Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Ms. Mgweba, members of Parliament, the SG and his team, joining us today, as well as our representatives from the Stats Council. Fellow South Africans, I just perhaps want to start, Honourable Minister, to note the complete collapse of logic from some of the members who have come here, quoted numbers from Stats SA, used the very same data that is produced by the team of Stats SA, but do not want to pass the budget of Stats SA. That's the first collapse of logic. The very same people come here and say that the fundamental reason that they do not support this budget, and in actual fact agree with the content of the budget, but say they don't support the budget because it's not enough. Inadvertently, what these members are saying, the Honourable Gama, the Honourable Maduwana, the Honourable Ditlape, and I'm very disappointed in the good doctor, because what all of these members are actually saying is that because we don't have enough money to fund all of the work of Stats SA, let's not do any of the work that it's continuously doing. Let's close up Stats SA because we don't have enough money right now. It's a complete collapse of logic, but of course, I'm not going to be distracted by the Honourable Montana. I'm going to come to him later. The Honourable Gama, of course, we are not surprised by this, of course, because the tone was set by someone who comes from a party that we know that the caucus is in complete turmoil, which is why we don't see any leadership of that particular caucus here today. Honourable members, it was a complete honor.
Order.
It's a complete honor to support the minister in the presidency.
Order, Honourable Member.
Tables this budget vote for Statistics South Africa, our national statistical office known as Stats SA. All of the members who spoke here today spoke about the fact that Stats SA carries the profound responsibility to ensure that our country has the statistical evidence it needs to make informed and transformative decisions, the Honourable Christie, transformative decisions. So therefore, you cannot stand here and say that you support the work of Stats SA, but at the same time say that BE is something that needs to be struck. There's a complete contradiction in that particular point. We debate, honourable members, this budget under the banner of the GNU, led by the ANC, which is very stable, of course. A collective political commitment to work together across differences to advance the aspirations of all South Africans. We also note that the MK, of course, they want to come in. That's why they are behaving the way that they're behaving. For this unity to succeed, honourable members, it must be grounded in a shared understanding of facts. That shared understanding can only come from a trusted and independent source of information, such as Stats SA. The department's 2025-2026 work program is bold in scope and vital to our progress, it commits to the release of more than 290 statistical reports and publications spanning the economic, social, and environmental domains. Now, the members that came here and said, let's not pass the budget because it's not adequate, they're basically saying like these over 290 statistical reports and publications should actually not be released. There's a collapse of logic in that regard. These outputs will help us understand the country we are building, its strengths, its faults lines, and its opportunities. Among the significant innovations in the year ahead is the continued development of the Continuous Population Survey, an ambitious reimagining of household data collection into a modular system, enabling more detailed, localized data that aligns with our district development model. This will be underpinned by updates to Stats SA's geographic information frame, a technical but critical building block for precision in sampling and coverage. However, honorable members, innovation alone, though, is not enough. We need the public to understand and participate in the work of Stats SA. Increasingly, field workers are finding it difficult to access sampled households due to rising mistrust and lack of information. This is why public engagement campaigns must be prioritized. They help foster trust and improve response rates, without which our statistics lose accuracy and legitimacy. Honorable members, we began our day this morning with a community outreach initiative not far from these chambers in Gugulethu and in Nyanga. This was not just a symbolic gesture. It was a deliberate effort to bring Stats SA closer to the people, where it belongs. We engaged with commuters, distributed information, and most importantly, we listened to what our people had to say. Because statistics is not just about numbers, they are our stories, they are our struggles, our progress, and even in some instances, our failures as well. That outreach was part of our broader mission to demystify the work of Stats SA, encourage public participation in surveys, and remind communities that data is only powerful when it is shared, protected, and understood. We are also mindful of the devastating floods that have impacted our country. Natural disasters do not only destroy infrastructure, but they also displace lives, break routines, and they often hit the poorest of the poor the hardest. In times like these, Stats SA plays a critical role. By providing accurate data on household vulnerability, migration patterns, service delivery, and access to housing, the National Statistics Office helps government and relief agencies respond better and faster. Data enables targeted disaster response and long-term recovery plans. In short, statistics saves lives. Let us also salute our young people, not just as the future, but also as present-day champions of change. Of course, we know that we are a young nation of a median age of 28. This youthful population presents a powerful opportunity, a potential demographic dividend that could drive economic growth and social progress. But this dividend is not automatic. To unlock it, we must ensure our youth are well educated, gainfully employed, and in good health. Only then can their energy, innovation, and numbers become the engine of our nation's future. So, as the Minister tables this budget vote 14 to the House, we carry the voices of the people of Gugulethu and Nyanga and the rest of the country we met earlier today. Our engagements this morning reinforces the vital truth. National progress starts with the local trust. And Stats SA does not work from afar. The work of the National Statistics Office reinforces the simple fact that the interconnectedness of data collection, community participation, and policy formulation cannot be underestimated. Therefore, together, let us keep building South Africa on facts, not fear. Now, with the remaining time that I have, let us also address the fact that, which is something that was raised by a number of members, that a well-funded, capacitated Stats SA is not a luxury. It is an essential endowment our democracy and our developmental state needs. And it is for this reason that honorable members will remember that the Minister of Finance in his budget speech actually made a commitment that in the MTBPS, one of the priorities will be the issue of funding of Stats SA. It's something that the ministry and the Minister of Finance as government is seized with and currently addressing. Honorable members, the debates around unemployment statistics remind us of our need for clarity about the Stats SA's mandate, that the department is guided by the Stats Act of 1999, which is recently amended, and therefore this Amendment Act enables improved coordination across government and enshrines the professional independence required for statistical credibility. Let us not forget, Stats SA does not create unemployment, it measures it. Stats SA does not make policy, it informs it. It is for us, the policymakers, the lawmakers, the executives, to use these insights wisely. Chairperson, I'd like to bring to your attention the operating environment of Stats SA offices. National offices, our national offices will, across, including our own Stats SA offices, face modern challenges that demand innovation, resilience. These include growing mistrust in institutions, misinformation spreading faster than facts, declining survey response rates, and digital exclusion in poor and rural communities, and the increasing cost of complexity of collecting data. In this environment, we must adapt by embracing digital tools, investing in data literacy among our people, strengthening partnerships with community leaders, and reaffirming the independence and credibility of our statistical systems. Only then can we ensure that evidence-based decision-making remains the cornerstone of our democracy and development. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Minister. The next speaker is the Honorable Swart.
Thank you, House Chair. Making tough decisions in an uncertain and fast-changing world requires a steadfast commitment to statistics and evidence-based reasoning. And by grounding decisions in empirical data and sound statistical analysis, leaders can navigate that ambiguity and uncertainty with greater confidence. Statistics and evidence-based decisions provide a beacon of objectivity in uncertain times, enabling leaders to make informed, data-driven choices that drive progress, growth, and sustainable development. And along that vein, the ACDP would like to thank Stats South Africa for doing this incredible work under very difficult financial conditions. And yes, we share the concerns about the previous undercounting in the previous census and do believe that far more needs to be done to improve that aspect. But as the Deputy Minister indicated, stats can and should save lives when we apply that information which we obtain. We know the country faces high levels of inequality and poverty, and thus it is very necessary to frequently update the CPI basket of goods and services. Increasing global concerns about food security and domestically require specialized measurement. In addition to that, the specialized data that we receive about unemployment is also very, very important. And so therefore, all speakers have said Stats South Africa is underfunded. But what are you doing about it? What are the members of the Portfolio Committee doing about it? You have got the Monetary Bills Act. Why hasn't the committee approached the Appropriations Committee as our other portfolio committees for increased funding? We have to start exercising the powers that are entrusted to us as Parliament, because at the end of the day, we are the ones that appropriate the bill within the fiscal framework, but you can assist this very important institution. And I must say it's difficult because I also need to look at the Statistician General in his eyes, and we all agree they don't have enough funds, and he says, but what have you done about it? So I'm sorry to be quite harsh in this aspect, but I do believe the centrality and the need of Stats South Africa providing us data for policy decisions requires a far more robust approach to find that extra 300 million and to approach the Appropriations Committee and argue for that. You will see other committees are approaching the Appropriations Committee. So let's see if we can improve and ensure that Stats South Africa is properly funded. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The next speaker is the Honorable Zibi.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair, and honorable members. Also, special greetings to the Statistician General sitting at the back. It's very hard to make a contribution in a discussion where everybody agrees, and you're literally going to repeat what everybody else is saying. And it is hard to support this budget because it's not enough. But Stats SA will not receive the funds it needs for its work if we do not support it. But that said, I think there's a couple of things that we need to change in our collective orientation. We need to change a couple of things. We aspire to be a developmental state. But if we do not allocate enough funds to Statistics SA and to research in general, by the way, then we are trying to get to prosperity while blindfolded. So I want to make an appeal for a change in the way we think about national policy and legislation. Given the enormous developmental challenges we have, everything feels like a priority and we treat it as such. But we cannot prioritize everything. We must choose. We must choose because we've got limited funds. We need the capacity to understand which of our funding priorities delivers the most sustainable socio-economic dividend. We need to understand which legislation is not working so we can make changes as soon as possible. If we do not understand today's patterns, then it is difficult to make predictions about the future. It also means we cannot make responsible budget allocations. A few examples come to mind. In the context of climate change, exactly how many people live on floodplains and at what rate is that accumulating per annum? Which provinces and municipalities are most at risk? And therefore, are those municipalities sufficiently capacitated to deal with more frequent and more violent natural disasters, such as flooding? I should know. I come from KSD. Mthatha is the town next door for me. So this is quite serious, but we should be able to make national policy on the basis of the quality of the information that we have at our disposal. And so I want to echo Honorable Swartz's sentiment that we must not just sit here and talk and say Stats SA is not getting enough. R1 billion in the context of a 2.6 trillion rand budget is not a lot of money. The only reason we do not get there is because we refuse to choose. You want to prioritize everything. And you want to when you prioritize everything, you do everything else badly because there's never enough to go around. So I want to echo Honorable Swartz's sentiment to say, let us do the right thing. There's still an opportunity in October to do the right thing and make sure that it's an allocation that fits our developmental objectives and we start funding Stats SA properly. Thank you, House Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. The next speaker will be from Bosa, Honourable Maimane. Thank you.
Honorable House Chairperson, I think none of us can deny that data is the business of the future. Any medical aid company in this country effectively does its own business, not by selling medical aid, but by using data for the purpose of the future. The reality of where we are going as an economy is that we're going to enter truly into the data economy. And so what we do at Stats SA becomes a fundamental bedrock, not only to how the state operates, but how our entire society, in essence, operates. And in part, as many have lamented here today, the underfunding of Stats SA, I have huge respect for the leadership there and the Statistician General. Part of the work that we've got to do is ensure that there's a commercialization arm of some of the reports that come from Stats SA. Now, some of that work has begun, but more must be done. But the second issue, honorable members, that I think it is now common cause, if you are going to operate on that basis, be clear that the authority of Stats SA needs to be reestablished. It cannot be that we can live in a country where one CEO can make the fact that unemployment is at this level, the university can say unemployment is at that level, municipalities come to our committee on a permanent basis telling me that in fact they are using 2011 data to make allocations. The net consequence of that is that we begin to challenge the integrity of Stats SA. Furthermore, the allocations from an appropriations point of view or a division of revenue point of view suffer in terms of the provincial and municipal equitable share. And the net outcome is clinics without medicine, household indigent without supply of basic services. That's what happens when we get our data wrong. It is going to be crucial that as the leadership of Stats SA is heading towards retirement age, that we be intentional about saying, how do we keep the sustainability of that institution? So therefore, honorable members, at the risk of repeating what honorable members have said, the process is fairly straightforward. I want to invite the Stats SA Oversight Committee. Minister, it is a fairly straightforward process. We can then engage National Treasury. We can identify other programs that we can move funding from. And this deficit is not insurmountable. And it is possible within this current financial year, given the importance of what Stats SA does. As Honorable Swart has already said, there are other committees that are coming. So if we can do this work, it is precisely why the Money Bills and Related Matters Act was put on the table. If we fail at this task, honorable members, the danger is not going to be a CEO or whatever. It is going to be a dictator who's going to arrive here one day, stand up, tell the people unemployment is zero, poverty doesn't exist, and none of us will have the data to refute. And therefore, honorable members, let us act now on behalf of the people of this country. I will support this budget.
Thank you,
but
honorable
more
member.
must be done. Yellow.
Your time has expired. The next speaker will be from NCC. Do we have an person from NCC? UAT? Nope. The DA, Honorable Bergman. Thank you.
The census is one of those the most important functions of Stats SA. In its role to South Africans, it forms the basis of how we see our country in terms of population growth and life expectancy. It also informs the government on South Africans' movement across the country and beyond in allocating essential resources. A lot has been said on the census, and there have been more questions than answers on how it was mismanaged, as well as how reliable the information is. This train has left the station, but it is most important for us to ensure that the next train makes up for the debacle, and that the next census is undertaken with as many useful checks and balances as possible. While the COVID-19 pandemic was a debilitating factor, so has been the lack of budget, as many have said, to fully administer this important department. Minister Ntshavhani, as political head, has also failed in adequately tending to Stats SA, not unexpected considering her tenure as municipal manager and the dark cloud that is now a case reportedly awaiting prosecution by the NPA. But while planning is already underway, Minister Ntshavhani cannot be trusted to oversee the next census. The reputation of this department and the accuracy of data fed to public institutions.
Honorable Bergman, can you please take your seat? There's a point of order. Thank you.
Chairperson, I want you to rule whether it is parliamentary for a member to insinuate that another member of this house is awaiting prosecution by the NPA. Are we not casting aspersion on that member? Thank you very much.
Honorable member, would you withdraw that comment, please? Honorable Bergman.
Chair, well, it's a fact, but I do withdraw. Thank you.
Thank you.
The
continue.
reputation of this department and the accurate. Wait,
Take your seats again, Honorable Bergman. Honorable Dagmo.
Yes, Honorable.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think what you requested was a withdrawal of the comment. And what was actually said there was not a withdrawal. He said, and to quote him, "It's a fact, but I withdraw." That's just not acceptable. You asked him to withdraw.
I would, he has withdrawn, but Honorable Bergman, can you make it clear and just say I withdraw?
I withdraw.
Thank you. There is another point of order from the DA. Please take your seat.
Thank you very much. Yes, it is a point of order that when an item is is in the newspapers, reported on and known by everyone in the
Chair,
country.
it's not a point of order,
Well,
honorable.
it's not a point of order
member.
to suggest that someone would
Thank you. It's not a-
withdraw
it's
when
not
it's
a point
something
of-
that's the truth. So I'd
It's
like
fine, honorable
Chair,
member. Please
then
take your
you just
seat. I've made a
speak out.
ruling on this.
to know your reason.
Thank
for
you.
not
I've made a ruling on
taking
this. Please take your seat.
I ask
He has
that the member
withdrawn.
with-
It's already been done. Thank you so much.
Look into it. Thank you.
Appreciate. Thank you so much. Please continue, Honorable Bergman.
Thank you very much. The reputation of this department and the accuracy of data fed to public institutions and government institutions is of utmost importance to ensure that effective delivery and resource allocation takes place for the benefit of stimulating the economy, which in turn would lead to more jobs and more prosperity. Deputy Minister, I think you need to understand what the DA is saying is we are not narrowly focused on splitting pieces of a little cake. The DA is broadly focused on growing a much bigger cake, and that we give a bigger piece of pie to every single South African and not have this narrowly placed policy. We need to listen with our ears and not our mouths. It's a pity no minister or deputy minister accompanied us on our oversight. They would have understood the issues plaguing Stats South Africa. Deputy Minister, that is exactly their reports that tell us that what we've done in the past is clearly not working. During oversights undertaken in the earlier part of the year, as I said, it was interesting to see that how this institution is managing despite being uncared for in the presidency. Perhaps its budget is too small for any looting. The Statistician General and his team were most welcoming and hospitable. It told a lot that he had managers and leaders that are seated at the back there that have been in service for so many years, whilst the newcomers were easily picked to private companies after their productive incubation periods. However, while the budget does not allow for the filling of important posts and competitive salaries, the functions and requests of this entity continue to grow. This means that Stats SA are having to fill more and more carriages, whilst the railroad itself continues to provide less and less reliability and consistency, which could end up in a catastrophe. The SG also made it clear that we need to protect the quality of statistical information and implement the continuous population survey. This does not only require more budget, but it also requires research and development around cybersecurity and database management, another weakness that one cannot take seriously with a stretched budget. Stats SA would do well to look at its 7 key programs and consolidate them into 3 better funded programs of the same intent. Stats SA has also undertaken a mammoth task to document death certificates and produce reliable data from these inputs. It is motivating to watch the backlog decrease and to see a huge auditorium full of staff attacking these backlogs. It is an important lesson in how important a function planning and control is in managing resources and preparing for the eventualities such as COVID or the like. South Africa should never be placed in a situation where backlogs span years. For the sake of dignity to the deceased and promotion of accurate data, we must increase our risk and avoidance strategies. We must create a buffer and productive relationship between the Department of Home Affairs, Health, and Stats SA to ensure a successful process. This could allow for sharing of resources and pressure off the budget requirements of this department. The report set out from the committee in terms of recommendations captures the concerns and views of the committee. We believe that the future of this entity lies in its ability to broadly consult and to be far more inclusive in its focus groups, to strengthen the training and debriefing mechanisms of its field workers, and to use cheaper, better, and faster technology for reliance and real-time data feedback. Retention of staff is far more important than recruitment of new staff. With an opportunity to climb a corporate ladder and institutional knowledge, it is better to focus on retaining experienced staff than continuously recruit and train newcomers, only to feed the private sector and weaken our own foundations. With regards to the train that is coming for the next census, we believe that it is not conclusive whether to adopt a 10-year or 5-year model, and that more should be done to research available census methods globally and using current technology in time to implement a fully reliable and productive census. The DA believes that the next census should happen at its earliest opportunity. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker will be from the ANC, Honorable Kumbaka.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Minister Chaveni, Honorable Deputy Minister Mhlauli, Honorable Deputy Minister Morolong, Honorable Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Honorable Mgweba, Honorable members and fellow South Africans. We rise today not to simply speak on a vote, but to reaffirm the transformative role of Statistics South Africa as a revolutionary tool in our national democratic struggle. We rise in this House today not to speak numbers for numbers' sake, but to reaffirm the revolutionary power of statistics in building a people-centered democracy. Statistics South Africa is not just a technical agency, it is a frontline institution in the battle for transformation, justice, and dignity. In a society as deeply unequal as ours, data is not neutral, it is political. It must be used as a weapon to expose structural injustice, to tell the truth of the poor and excluded, and to drive policy that transforms and not maintains the status quo. Honorable members, the realization of our constitutional and development objectives are dependent on our ability as a society to respond to our concrete reality in various dimensions. Stats SA plays a critical role in providing the country with scientific statistical data to support decision-making for all social partners, be it government, business, labor, civil society, international organizations, and the people. The statistical output of Stats SA provide empirical evidence that enables government and other social partners to plan on the basis of credible evidence. Without credible data, the attainment of government objectives and other objectives can result to failure. Stats SA has demonstrated its agility to adopt technological innovations and implement a digital transformation program to increase the capabilities of the entity to produce data in a cost-effective way, as demonstrated in the Census 2022, which relative to the previous census saved over R1 billion, which is commendable. We welcome the multiple projects on digital transformation by Stats SA as contained in the strategic plan and the annual performance plan. Through the digital innovation and adoption, Stats SA needs to consider improving its website interface and develop digital tools which creates a better user experience. This will ensure that the vast majority of South Africans find statistical data accessible and increase the usage of statistical outputs. These enhancements must enable a government official in a municipality or government entity to be able to extract data that is related to the municipal area or sector at a local level. It must enable learners in high school and students in higher education to easily source data for educational and research purposes. This also applies for small business and various economic players. Innovation and development is enabled by access to robust data, and Stats SA should champion accessibility and increase usage of statistical data. We welcome the focus on producing statistics that are focused on the district development model. This is a critical enabler to enhance government efforts to plan effectively through the DDM. Honorable members, society and nature are not stagnant, but are always on a constant motion of change. Climate change is one matter that has become a key priority globally as it impacts weather patterns which result to disasters, and in other instances, drought, which impact food production and social life. Our experience as a country is quite tragic, particularly for the coastal provinces such as KwaZulu-Natal and Eastern Cape, which have experienced multiple floods, with the recent one in Eastern Cape leading to over 100 people losing their lives. We pay our condolences to all the families that have lost their loved ones and thank all social partners working with the government and communities who have supported the affected household. Another societal changing development is the rapid innovation within the digital sector, which is a growing economic sector. Digital innovation is also having an impact of society politically, socially, and economically. These are just two areas which require enhanced data to ensure various social partners respond to the climate change risk and monitor and understand patterns of usage of digital innovation. We believe that Stats SA should expand its statistical outputs to provide more detail of elements of climate change and digital technology. Other dimensions and emerging fields should also be considered. Honorable members, we are in a period with higher levels of migration and illegal immigration patterns which impact various aspects of government policy and planning. The equitable shared distribution of the division of revenue is also premised on population considerations. The emergence of informal settlements and the population growth of communities is fast outpacing our periodic population stats at a micro level, for example, rural to urban movement within districts. We recognize the vast technical indicators of the work program of the 2025-2026 financial year book. We also support the implementation of the Stats SA Amendment Act, which requires organs of the state to develop statistical units. We welcome this development as it lays a firm foundation to improve the quality of performance information reporting by state organs. The Auditor General has highlighted the high levels of poor quality of information to ascertain reported performance. An effective data system enhances decision-making and the ability of the executive and parliament and the people to hold government accountable. Thus, will enhance the performance of government and oversight by the legislative sector. Honorable members, the presidency should support Stats SA to effect the prioritization of the development of statistical units by state organs. The statistics that relate to our progress of social transformation continue to reflect progress and constraints. This include inequality and the various dimensions of poverty and the crisis of unemployment that impact women and the youth and many South Africans. We have expanded access to basic services, but indicators also reflect a growing demand for reliable basic services. The ANC supports the position of the committee that Stats SA should receive additional allocation in the upcoming financial years. This will further place it in the edge of the statistical data ecosystem in the country and its global competitiveness. The reduction of the vacancy rate of the entity should be addressed in the short term as this impacts the effectiveness of the institution. Stats SA is also a key contributor to scientific skills development. And when we are in this period of digitization and big data, Stats SA should serve as an incubation to develop our scarce skills, particularly providing training and employment for the youth, women, and persons with disability. The skills produced by the public entity has benefited the private sector, and international organizations continue to recruit from the agency. We must train and retain skills, but also contribute to the overall skills development of the country. The ANC has prioritized the monitoring of the performance of government to ensure intended outcomes and impact. The ANC in Parliament will continue to support the work that is done by the public servants in the organization. We will also play our robust oversight, focusing on the implementation of the strategic and annual plans. The allocated budget, though not enough, will enhance the capacity and capabilities of Stats SA. The rapid innovation in technology requires us to rethink the use of resources and review our systems and models, which can create opportunities to optimize the current existing resources for higher impact. We will continue to play our part in robust oversight, ensuring that the annual plans are delivered on the ground, but we also issue a call to action to democratize data, decolonize methods, and center the lives of people in everything we measure. We cannot build a capable and ethical state in the dark. We need the light of revolutionary data rooted in the truth of the people's lives. Let us never forget that apartheid had data too, but it was used to entrench oppression. Our task is to use this data from Stats SA to liberate, to empower, and transform South Africa. That is the difference, that is the struggle. Because in the end, we do not fight for statistics, we fight for dignity, for justice, and the total liberation of our people. The ANC supports the budget vote 14 on the Statistics South Africa. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The final speaker will be the Minister, the Honourable Minister in the Presidency. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. In my language, they say, Ubara, Maropodoza, Afar. In English, the equal saying will be an aspersion, regardless of how it's delivered, or who delivers it, or how many times it's repeated, it will never be supported by facts because the truth have a way of coming out. Unfortunately, sometimes the truth don't come out fast enough. As we respond to the debate by members, I want to remind us of an English adage that says, half a loaf is better than nothing. However, I feel honored by the work that the Statistician General, the Statistics Council, the Deputy Minister who have delegated to assist me on the Stats SA, Comrade Nongeba Mhlauli, and the collective team in my office are doing to support the work of Stats SA. Because everyone who's rejecting this budget vote for Stats SA, they are not doing so because of Stats SA's work. They are doing so because they're saying it's not sufficient. And I like to remind members on the other side to say half a loaf is better than nothing. Because if the Statistics SA budget is not passed, it will mean the Statistics SA cannot do its work. And that's why we plead for the members to reconsider.
Honorable Minister, could you please take your seat? We have a point of order. Honorable Montana, what is your point of order?
Is the honorable minister willing to take a question?
Honorable Minister, are you willing to take a question?
No.
No, she's not. Thank you, Honorable Montana. Please continue, Honorable Minister.
And I'd like to, with the tasks that were set out by the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on monitoring, planning, monitoring, and evaluation to the Statistician General, myself as the minister and the Deputy Minister responsible in the States Council, I'd like to request that this Portfolio Committee take into heed the guidance provided by Honorable Swartz and Honorable Maimane, in particular Honorable Maimane, who's the chair of the Appropriations Committee, to indeed approach the Appropriations Committee for the increase of the budget for Stats SA. And just for the record, and as articulated in the cabinet statement, there is no 700 million for the national dialogue. Whoever has said that, we do not know where it comes from. Government budgets, you know, they are submitted through processes. The IMC, which I'm a member of, responsible for the national dialogue, had not seen even that budget. So when you talk about 700 million, it's again following what is said in the media, who we think and we've made the holier than thou, whereas they are not holier than thou. It's not what is the truth. So if there was that 700 million, we would of course fight for it to be dedicated to programs like Stats SA. Honorable members, in the debate, there were people who didn't listen to what I said. I said myself, the Statistician General and his team, and the team from National Treasury will be meeting with the outgoing CEO of Capitec and his team. We will similarly meet with representatives of the short-term insurance industry and other institutions that hold data on micro businesses, particularly the informal businesses. The primary focus of our discussion will be the compilation of a comprehensive register for informal businesses. This initiative is crucial as it will enable the Stats SA to better respond to the policy directives being driven by the Department of Small Business Development. By creating this register, government through the Department of Small Business Development aim to provide more structured support and resources to informal businesses, ensuring their growth and sustainability within the broader economy. So it's not just about some mlungu there, some business person there. It's about meeting with everybody as part of what I spoke about earlier, of a collaborative, engaging, and coordinating system. We'll equally meet with all institutions that have the data, and that's what is important. On statistical production, what members do not want to support. In the 2025-2026 work program, we've committed to release over 290 statistical reports and publications aimed at providing comprehensive insights into the economic, social, and environmental conditions of our nations. These reports are crucial for understanding the current state and the trends within the country. Stats SA continues with the plans to re-engineer the household survey program through the introduction of a continuous population survey that aims to integrate various household surveys to improve efficiency and effectiveness of data collection. This modular survey will provide lower level data on specific themes to inform the district development module. And during the 2025-26, we are updating a geographic information frame, which is a key building block for implementation of the continuous population survey spoken to by the portfolio committee. So we have listened. And we have spoken about the modernization effort within the economic statistics program, focusing on updating survey operations. As part of this initiative, business will now have the opportunity to participate in web-based data capturing. The shift to digital platforms is designed to streamline the data collection processes, making it more efficient and user-friendly. By allowing businesses to submit their information online, we aim to reduce the administrative burden on respondents and improve the accuracy and timelines of the data collection. The adoption of the web-based data capturing also aligns with our broader strategy to leverage technology in enhancing our statistical operations. This modernization effort will enable us to gather more comprehensive and detailed economic data, which is crucial for informed decision-making and policy development. We're excited about the potential benefits of this modernization effort and look forward to working closely with businesses to ensure its successful implementation. Together, we can enhance the quality and efficiency of our economic statistics program, ultimately contributing to a more informed and prosperous society. As members have said, Statistics South Africa is a valuable national resource that requires our collective support. By doing so, we ensure that Stats SA remains at the forefront of delivering essential socioeconomic data. This data is not only vital for informed decision-making within government, but also plays a significant role in guiding business strategies and policies across various sectors. Our collective support will enable Stats SA to fulfill its mission of informing the nation with accurate and timely information, ultimately contributing to the betterment of society as a whole. In an era of disinformation, official data must compete with alternative facts and manipulated narratives, Honorable Christie. Upholding the independence and credibility of Stats SA is more important than ever. I therefore implore this House to become ambassadors of Stats SA's work and continue to be ardent users of official statistics. We can all ensure that Statistics South Africa remains adequately resourced to fulfill its critical role in informing the nation and supporting evidence-based decision-making across government and business sectors. Our commitment to maintaining the integrity and the quality of our statistical outputs remains unwavering despite the financial constraints and the challenges we encounter. And that's why it is important that the Portfolio Committee join us to persuade National Treasury and the Appropriations Committee to ensure accordingly the correct allocation. As we reflect and debate the role of statistics and the role particularly played by Stats SA, let us recommit ourselves to protecting, investing in, and promoting this vital pillar of our national life. Official statistics are not just tools. They are public goods. Let the numbers speak, and let us listen to the numbers. Similarly, let the facts speak, and unfortunately with facts, sometimes you have to wait for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Members are reminded that 2 debates are scheduled simultaneously for 4:30 this afternoon. The Public Service and Administration, including National School of Government and Police Service Commission budget vote debate, will be held here in the Good Hope Chamber, while the Mineral and Petroleum Resources budget vote debate will take place in the Committee Room M46. That concludes the debate and the business of this mini plenary session. The mini plenary will now rise. Thank you.